lawmaker with the Florida Gators.
Okay. I was just checking to see if you were listening.
From Cheyenne, Louisiana. Hold on a second.
Hey, guys! Hey! I'm having a press conference, okay? Thank you.
Momentum, excitement, energy. They say all this stuff, and you know what they mean, but it doesn't describe what you mean. It's just sort of out there.
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me. Hurt my feelings.
I was just worried about, listening to, all your guys' rap poison.
Welcome to Sideline Judgment. Here are your hosts, Sergio and Tyler.
Welcome to Sideline Judgment. My name is Sergio.
My name is Tyler.
And today, Tyler, we are talking about everything that happened in the world of college football last week. We're going to be reviewing our week 2 picks. We're going to go through all of the non-5 wide and 2-point games in our Around the Nation segment. I get to run up the score with you in our 2-point and 5 wide.
Oh, stop.
It's a good difference right now. We'll talk about it in a bit, but we're also going to go ahead and preview what is objectively a pretty light college football slate in terms of big-time games.
This is the week, if you got obligations with your significant other, you go do those obligations.
If you are a diehard like us, this is the weekend to go apple picking. This is the weekend to go look at a pumpkin patch. This is the weekend to make that person in your life that is not a college football sicko very, very happy. You just go, no, you know what, babe? I just want to watch in our case, the Florida game. That's it. I just want to take a look at my team. I don't need to sit on the couch all day. I don't need to hang with the boys. I don't need to just not move for 13 and a half to 14 hours. No, it's okay. I don't need to DoorDash 3 times today. It's okay. This is the weekend you do it, gentlemen. Am I right, Tyler? Or am I right?
You are absolutely right. It's strategy.
Of course.
You get this goodwill in now because you're going to need it later in the season.
Listen, what do you do with your finances?
If this past week is education, this is going to be a fun season.
Yes. What do you do with your finances, Tyler? You save up for a rainy day. This is your saving up for a rainy day. We will finish, Tyler, with Florida Corner, where we will talk about LSU. We will talk about Tennessee traveling to take on Florida in the swamp. It's the 7:00 Eastern ESPN game, which looks to be, Tyler, if we're talking, we'll get to Texas and Alabama in a bit, but that was a 7:00 ESPN game, and with the unfortunate death of the CBS 3:30 game of the week, moment of silence. Thank you very much. With the passing of that moment in the SEC calendar, it looks to be like the 7:00 ESPN game is like the big SEC game of the week. And the Gators are in there. So because the Gators are in that slot, they will not be on 5 wide this week. But that just means that we get to talk about other games a bit more. Am I right or am I right?
You're right. Hey, I'll take it. I'll take being in the primetime spot this season.
Yes, I will take it for sure. But we will start, Tyler, like we do every week, with quick hits. And I want to give out a bit of a disclaimer before I begin. We're going to talk about the Mel Tucker sexual harassment claims. And by talk about, I mean I'm going to read you what I spent some time last night drawing up, collecting the facts, taking the notes, so that if you have no idea what's happening with Mel Tucker, the Mel Tucker suspension at Michigan State, you will now know. Tyler and I are not going to give our opinions on this. This is something that's ongoing. We will say off the bat, though.
It's extremely fresh.
Yes. Well, we'll get to that in a bit. It's not as fresh as we think, but it is fresh to us, fresh news to us, correct? I will say, and I know that Tyler corroborates this opinion and believes this with me, we are a Believe the Victims podcast. If what is alleged to be claimed here is true, then we will be in the business of speaking on we will be in the business of speaking on who the next Michigan State head coach will be at a later date. But again, we do want to say all of these things that I'm about to say are claims, allegations. There still needs to be a big process that plays out. So we are not out here advocating for any punishment of the sort at the moment. But we, Tyler and Sergio, we are morally on the side of the victim here. So I just want to point that out before we start. And the next maybe 2 to 3 minutes might be a bit graphic for people. So if it's uncomfortable for you, you can go ahead and skip forward about a couple minutes. Here it goes. So the biggest news college football world this week, undoubtedly, Mel Tucker has been suspended without pay as Michigan State's head coach after there were sexual harassment claims levied against him. Sexual assault awareness speaker Brenda Tracy operates a nonprofit company that's dedicated to raising awareness about sexual misconduct, especially among college athletes. She is a sexual assault survivor, and she tells her story and goes around and uses her platform to educate those so that we don't continually see this in our society, and unfortunately, especially within the football world and college football world. So that's something that she does. She was hired to speak to the Michigan State football team about sexual assault awareness in August 2021, and she even attended the team's 2022 spring game and was named an honorary captain. So far, so good. Now, Tucker claims that Mel Tucker claims that he developed a, quote, intimate and adult relationship, close quote, with Tracy, and that her claims that he sexually harassed her are, quote, these are Tucker's words, completely false. He also claimed that the hearing that is scheduled to see if he violated university policy is, again, Tucker's words here, quote, ridiculously flawed and not designed to arrive at the truth, close quote. The details of a USA Today report that was published this past weekend claim that Tucker sent Tracy gifts, asked if she would date him if he wasn't married, and a little bit of a vulgarity warning here, masturbated while on the phone without her consent. Now, Tracy says that she developed a friendly but professional relationship with Tucker, and per the USA Today report, Tracy told investigators, quote, Tucker's romantic interest in her was entirely one-sided, close quote. Mel Tucker, of course, as expected, did release a statement, and in part, this is what some of the statement reads. Quote, while I am saddened by Ms. Tracy's disclosure of the sensitive nature of this call, let me be perfectly clear. It was an entirely mutual, private event between two adults living at the opposite ends of the country. She initiated the discussion that night, sent me a provocative picture of the two of us together, suggested what she may look like without clothes, and never once during the 36 minutes did she object in any manner, much less hang up the phone, close quote. Now, Tucker continues in that statement and says that Tracy did not object to the April 2022 phone call when he masturbated, and that she did not cut off her relationship with him or the football program afterward. He said that she raised objections to the call only after a presentation she was scheduled to give to the team in the summer of 2022 was postponed. Tucker contends that he never canceled Tracy's visit, but simply postponed it to January. Now, Tracy, upon the release of Tucker's statement, posted a response on X, which is, as we refer to it here, Twitter, formerly known as Twitter, that says this, quote, this is just more of the same DARVO. That's deflection, victim blaming, and lies that I've been dealing with now for months. Coach Tucker has been delaying and trying to stop the investigative process since the beginning. He can't afford to go to a hearing that determines credibility of the participating parties. Close quote. That's what she wrote on X, formerly Twitter. She continues to say, quote, I believe this statement is his way of getting out of participating in the hearing. October 5th and 6th, I will be present for the hearing and make myself available for cross-examination by his attorney, Jennifer Belville. I invite him to do the same, close quote. Now, if you're wondering why we are hearing about this just now, great question, because I also was wondering that, because Michigan State Athletic Director Alan Haler says that they have known about these claims since December of 2022, when Tracy filed a formal complaint to the school's Office for Civil Rights. They then hired an independent investigator who interviewed both parties and submitted a report in late July, recommending that the school hold a hearing to determine if Tucker violated the university's sexual misconduct policy. That hearing is scheduled for October 5th. And all of this, Tyler, is happening in the shadow of the Larry Nassar scandal. And if you don't know about that, Larry Nassar was a doctor, a famous gymnastics doctor. He worked for not just the not just the Michigan State gymnastics team, but also team like the Olympic gymnastic team. And he is the one who was convicted and then, don't quote me on this, but I believe committed suicide in jail after his lifetime conviction and all of these things. So not a good look for Michigan State, not a good look for Mel Tucker, not a good look for those of us who would love to see this kind of sexual misconduct eradicated from the thing that we love the most, which is college football. So that is everything that you need to know. I believe, and this is not for sure, that the whole reason this came out now is because they said that they suspended him without pay now and not back in December, because they said that there was further evidence that they were not made aware of that has now been brought to light, that they know. We don't know about it in the public, but that is what they are saying, and that is a justification for that. Again, we're not getting opinions here. This is just what happened. Biggest story in college football. Now you know where Tyler and I stand morally, but also now you know the facts of the situation. So, and then in all of that, Tyler, I didn't even look up who the interim head coach is going to be, and that is Harlan Barnett. He was named the interim head coach. He's a former Florida State assistant, and he will now be leading the team this season. Okay, Tyler, that was that. Let's move forward.
Yep.
Lightening the mood. A judge has granted a temporary restraining order to prevent the Pac-12 from meeting, and it's because a Washington State judge ruled in favor of Oregon State and Washington State after they jointly filed a complaint saying that the meeting as a board is, quote, an imminent and existential threat to the future of the conference.
I just want to point out that pettiness wins again.
This might be one of the pettiest things I've ever seen in my life.
It truly is. And it's like justified, but
oh yeah,
it's justified pettiness. But let's be real here. It's absolutely pettiness. They're like, you're going to leave us out in the cold? No. You don't get to just have your little meeting.
Yeah. No. And listen, I heard a rumor, and again, rumor, don't know if this is true or not, but apparently the rumor is that there's a clause within the Pac-12 bylaws that says that essentially the revenue distribution can only apply to teams that are full members of the conference. And I guess there's like an asterisk or a footnote or something that says that if you intend to leave the conference and have already given notice of your grant of rights, then you can't collect money. So I think Oregon State and Washington State are trying to get the money from this last television year split 50-50 between the two instead of between the 12 teams that are in the conference this season.
I hope that, to me,
would be poetic justice in my opinion.
I hope they get it so bad. Like truly full bias. I hope they get it so bad. And I don't like advocate some of the Pac-12 too.
Right. Like I don't advocate for these programs to like not get the money and affect, the other athletic programs at these other institutions and stuff like that. But from a purely like neutral, like I'm across the country perspective, like that's funny, man.
I'm on this side of the country and it's funny. Like, I mean, that's the thing is like it would affect negatively a lot of student athletes, but at the same time, are those student athletes more, it's tough to say, are those student athletes' time and experiences more valuable than the Washington State and Oregon State athletes that are absolutely going to be, sorry for the term, just shafted by being left out in the cold and having to basically be relegated, even though both of them are really good now.
Yes.
Yes. And it's not relegation that is not performance based.
Nope.
Like,
in a perfect world, this is the Pac-12 title game, Oregon State, Washington State.
I would love that.
I would adore it.
And I was just like, yeah, I mean, half these teams are about to go to the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Like, they're about to make a lot of money. So, you know what? Get your money where, like, if you don't fight for it, no one's going to give it to you. So, I think
this
they are getting screwed regardless. They're trying to make it less worse.
Yeah.
They're trying to make it less bad.
Exactly. And if this offseason has kind of taught me anything, it's that these people making these big decisions do not care about the student athletes, because there's no way in the world that Oregon should be playing Purdue on a Tuesday night and then have those kids have class on Wednesday. Anyway, alas. Last little piece of quick hits before we get to the games. North Carolina's Tex Walker has been denied an appeal to play in 2023, prompting Mac Brown to go off on the NCAA. Now, Walker's a two-time transfer. That's why they kind of deny he had to appeal to be able to play this year. He started at NC Central and then transferred to Kent State, and then he transferred back to North Carolina due to mental health challenges that he was struggling with, being so far away from home. Now, North Carolina claims that he could not play at NC Central because when he was enrolled there, it was the pandemic, and if you remember properly, NC Central, an FCS team, they did not play football that season. And so therefore, he was not able to play, therefore he shouldn't be a 2-time transfer, which I understand the logic and stuff. But the statement that Mac Brown released is hilarious. You can look it up and see it. I'm not going to read
It's
the
long,
whole thing
so I
now.
don't think we're
It's long, and I just read a whole lot of words, so I'm not going to read anymore. But just know that it starts with, "We are absolutely crushed to learn that Tez Walker's eligibility has been denied for this season and he won't be able to play. I don't know if I've ever been more disappointed in a person, a group of people, or an institution than I am with the NCAA right now." Oh, man, it's fantastic. And then
Grandpa's angry.
Grandpa's angry, and at the end, he ends it with, "Shame on you, NCAA." And then he hit the caps lock and went, "Shame on you," which I had to say that way because it's in all caps. So it's fantastic. There's some gems in here by Mac Brown. He had a rough go of it, and this will surely make it worse. How dare they ever speak about mental health and student athlete welfare again? Mac Brown was in his bag in this letter.
What a great sentence that you just said. Mac Brown was in his bag, but it's like factually true. This
Oh
man
my
was spitting.
gosh. It makes
no
sense,
and it never will.
Listen, we're laughing simply because one of college football's grandfathers is out here just roasting the NCAA, which we all know is a kangaroo court at this point and has no real authority. Good on you, Mac Brown, and
Never comply.
Never comply. Exactly. Anyway, let's get to the football games from last week, Tyler.
Games.
We'll go quickly, as it is. You know the drill with Around the Nation. If you want to talk about something further, please let me know. We'll stop and we'll have a quick chat about it. If not, I'm just going to go through and read through what happened. Friday night, we were treated to Kansas 34, Illinois 23. I put here, Kansas does black uniforms right. And no, we're not allowed to talk about that until the Florida Gators play the black uniform game.
Well,
we're not
black uniforms are great. I mean, like,
we're moving forward.
We're moving forward. Their helmets were
cool.
We're
moving
though.
forward. Florida State 66, Southern Miss 13. I just put FSU's legit. Like, if you didn't know, you know now. They should have taken care of business, but they were just firing on all cylinders. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
We got it. Yeah, you really want me to stop talking about Florida State? I can feel it. Utah 20, Baylor 13. Slow start for Utah, but they did get it together in the second half. They did get it together.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Rough showing if you're a Gator fan for this game to happen.
Yes, and we.
To be fair, Baylor didn't look great, but
Correct.
Baylor I don't think was as bad as they were in week. Is not truly as bad as we were in week one. To steal a phrase from Nick Wright that he said about in regards to the NFL, but it's the same for college. We don't know why we're seeing what we're seeing in week one is the thing. Like we see things, we learn things about teams, but we don't we learned facts. This team won this game. They had this many yards. But we don't know why that is. Is that defense just bad? Or are they is it a fluke? Or is this who they are? You learn these things as time goes on.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Agreed. I'll save what I was going to remind me when we go to Florida corner. I was going to say something about Utah, but we'll do it then. Oregon 38, Texas Tech 30, back and forth game. This was a really good game. But Bo Nix delivered when it mattered. Bo Nix really did. He delivered when it mattered.
We had a scare. We had a friend of the pod.
Yes.
What is his new name?
We need to come up with a new one because for some reason,
tax evasion Bucks fan.
Baker Mayfield ended up winning a game as a starting quarterback for the Bucks on the road. So we need to come up with something brand new with him. So
excuse from jury duty Bucks fan. Tyler Renfro had mentioned he's like, oh, do we have to bring good Bo Nix, bad Bo Nix back?
Yeah,
we don't. Not yet.
I don't think we do. I don't think we do
because he did win. However, the forgotten layer in this game is that Tyler Shough, the Texas Tech quarterback, used to be a quarterback for Oregon and played not just on the team. He played for the team.
Well, he was playing like he lost his job to the guy on the other side of on the other sideline is how he was playing. He was balling in this game and playing pretty well.
Fun stuff.
Definitely.
I feel bad for him that it ended with a defensive touchdown.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Allegedly, this was the third leg of a parlay that I needed. Allegedly. So very happy with the results here. Credit to Tech as well, like you said. They sucks that it ended on that type of play for them, but they did play well, and I think that they should be optimistic heading into this Big 12 season. North Carolina 40, App State 34 in double overtime. Tyler, there's a bunch of questions here. Is the UNC defense still bad? They had a big stop on fourth down to win it in double overtime, so that at least answers the crunch time questions. But from a start to finish perspective, are they bad? What does this say about South Carolina's offense? Why is Drake May not showing us what we know and think he can do? Because he, again, had a subpar game by Drake May, one of the top quarterbacks off the board in the draft perspective, potential Heisman finalist perspective. And Omarion Hampton, 234 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. He averaged 9 yards a carry. What a great performance. That's not a question, but I just wanted to say that.
No, I think a couple things. There's an aspect of this. You almost have to throw this game out to me because this is App State. Like App State just does this. Like they play teams really tough.
Especially the Power 5 teams in the state. They always play the NC States, the Wake Forest, the UNC is really good.
So I don't have too much of it. What I think a part of it is the UNC defense still bad? Probably. It's probably better than it was last year, but I don't think it's good necessarily. Right. This is a question about South Carolina's offense because you know me and my thoughts on Spencer Rattler, but
yes,
we're going to find out. I think I have a comment on the Drake May thing. Is that it's funny that he reminds me of this guy. Drake May reminds me a lot of Sam Howell in that, which is funny because it's the quarterback that he replaced.
Team, yeah,
same team. But in that, like Sam Howell is that like. He's just kind of even keeled and he's just going to do whatever it takes to win. He's not this fiery rah guy. And I don't know Drake. I haven't watched every snap of Drake May. I don't see that, but like Drake May kind of a subpar performance. If you want like against the backdrop of like a high NFL draft prospect, but I think he did what he was needed to win.
And he's doing enough. Yeah. He's doing enough. He's not playing poorly, but when you go into the season,
it's something worth noting, and it's like everybody's just like, oh, it's Caleb Williams 1, Drake May 2, and then the big question is who's QB3 because there's a lot of quarterbacks out there that are putting on good shows. We'll talk about one in a little bit, but part of me is just like, I mean, I know that Caleb Williams is just going to stay at 1. And I even think he's getting a little overhyped, but I think that's just the train kind of like
it's the draft cycle.
It's just the train barreling away from the station, you know. But there is the Drake May thing where I'm like, are people? I don't know. We'll have to see. He's talented, but they have not had. He's been just kind of okay for them lately.
Yeah. To start the season, at least.
Yeah, but then again, it's maybe they look good this season, so maybe it's a matter of. I don't know. Maybe he's not going to be as ball out, just toss it all over the yard because he won't need to be, you know. And
Makes sense.
If that wins them games, like they've got a good rushing attack apparently. So I don't know, but would like to see more out of him.
Oklahoma 28, SMU 11. Not pretty from the Sooners, but the story out of this game, unfortunately, isn't even football related. It's that
I didn't even know about this until you wrote it in the rundown.
So I guess in keeping with the unfortunate theme of college football and sexual assaults.
Teams with green as their main color.
It's for real. Art Briles, former Baylor coach, we all know what happened with him. He was on the sideline with Jeff Lebby, who's the Oklahoma offensive coordinator. Also is Jeff Lebby's also Art Briles' son-in-law, and Art Briles was wearing Oklahoma gear. I didn't know that part about that until this weekend. This is the 3 statements, one issued by Brent Venables right after the game in the post-game conference. Quote, I was made aware of it just before I came in here that Art Briles was on the field. That's being dealt with. Close quote. Very stern, very to-the-point post-game presser from Brent Venables. Later on that night, Oklahoma Athletic Director Joe Castiglione, he issued a statement, and he said, quote, I was just as disappointed as many as our fans when I learned of the post-game situation tonight. It shouldn't have happened, and it was my expectation it never would, based on boundaries we previously set. I've addressed it with the appropriate staff, close quote. That tells me that this was a conversation they had with Lebby when he was hired, because they knew he was his father-in-law, and they were like, hey, he's not going to like show up on the sidelines, is he? He's like, no, he won't. And then he's fine. Well, Here we are. And then finally, on Monday morning, Jeff Lebby issued a statement saying, quote, One, I just want everyone to understand my father-in-law, his presence on the field after the game is something that created a distraction, and I apologize for that. That was not the intent at all. The intent was just to celebrate with my family. I do want to correct some reports that said he had a sideline pass. He did not have a sideline pass given out. He was only on the field when other families were down there and were present. Joe Castiglione, Coach Venables have both expressed concerns with me, talked to me about it to make sure that everyone understands that this is something that will not come up again. So he wasn't on the side. He wasn't like given a pass by OU and wasn't there or an analyst or those things. It was, hey, my father-in-law was just coming on the field after the game to congratulate me. It just so happens that my father-in-law is at the center of one of the biggest scandals in college football in the past 25 years and is basically blacklisted from coaching again, at least in the collegiate ranks.
So one thing that I will say about this whole situation is that I do slightly give, like, usually when I'm looking at the Venables statement, I'm looking at the Oklahoma AD Joe Castiglione statement, and I'm trained to be like, I don't really trust what they say, like, in these kind of situations, because they're just going to cover their butts, and they're like, oh, we weren't aware it would be this way. We're sorry. I'm like, you're not really sorry. You're sorry that there were consequences to your actions, not that you did them, you know?
To just build off of that real quick, in Levy's statement, he apologizes for creating a distraction. Not that
he's apologizing for getting caught, not for doing it. Like,
correct.
And that's frustrating. I will say on the Venables and Castiglione statements, I truly don't think that, like, I'm getting the sense, I truly don't think they knew about this. And I can really see so much happens on a game day. And it's like, if you're not giving them a sideline pass and you're just like, oh, I'm a coach, I get these tickets, here's one for you, and all the people that are the coaches' families that are all in one group, they get to come down to here. And the stadium security that's hired there for a gig is not going to know who Art Browse is. I have a hard time remembering what Art Browse's face looks like.
He's also grown his hair out a lot. So, like, even your mental image of Art Browse is not the current image of Art Browse.
So it's just like, I truly, with so many people and so many moving parts on a game like Oklahoma, like a team like Oklahoma, at a home game like that, so many people, like, there's a whole side of college football attendance with, like, boosters and hiring people that isn't even touched by the, like, I truly can.
You think Brent Venables knows who gets a friends and family ticket? No.
You think he cares? If he
well, he might now, but
yeah. What's the thing is, like, I truly believe, based on, because it wasn't like because Jeff Levy clarified, and I do actually kind of believe this, because it would make no sense for this to be a lie. Is it like, oh, he's not, like, I didn't give him a sideline pass, he's like part of the family thing. It's like, truly, I could see a world that totally makes sense where, like, they're not vetting head coach does not know every person that's shown up in the coaches and family situation. So I actually I'm not going to get on Venables and Castiglione, because they seem to be having the appropriate reaction for them. And I believe them when they say that they didn't know. But yeah, the Jeff Levy situation, I'm like, no, again, you're not apologizing for what you did. You're apologizing that you got caught and that we had bad reactions to it.
Yeah. I want to put a pin in this, and I don't know when we're going to get back to this pin. It won't be today, but I don't know when it'll be. But Jeff Levy's going to have to start answering some questions about his relationship with his father-in-law if he wants to become a head coach, because this is, I'm sure, I'm just going to stop talking because there's a lot there. So that's something that we'll put a pin in on there. I'm with you. I agree that Venables and Castiglione were like, what are you doing, bro? Like, I get it. Anyway. All right, moving forward. Duke 42, Lafayette 7. I just put the Dukes for real.
Yep.
It's just nice to see them take care of business right after that big win against Clemson. So, speaking of Clemson, they had 66 points and Charleston Southern had 17, but it was ugly at the beginning. There was a point where I screenshot that score in the second quarter, sent it to our fantasy football chat, and went, hey guys, we might want to start taking a look at this game because this might be an upset. And it didn't happen, but oh boy, Clemson. Oh boy. They're on upset alert against FAU this week. I want you to know that.
Is that going to be your 2 point?
Purdue 24, Virginia Tech 17.
All right. You have approximately 40 minutes to not be a coward.
Sure. I put, is Purdue fun now? Because it seems like their games have been much more offensively driven rather than the, under bowls that we've been seeing lately. So that's just a question for the future. Rhetorical.
Something to put a pin in.
Put a pin in, exactly. Boston College 31, Holy Cross 28. BC snuck out with this victory, and it is not looking good for Jeff Hafley. I don't bet on first coach fired, allegedly, because I just don't like rooting for people to lose their job. But if I was to allegedly place a bet on first college football coach fired, Jeff Hafley might be in the running. Just want to say that.
He's up there.
James Madison 36, Virginia 35. I just put justice for JMU because they deserve to be playing in the eventual Sun Belt Conference Championship game because they're going to be in. They should be in that, but they won't be because of. Well, you know what? Just go read Mac Brown's statement, and that
basically,
kind of
you can copy and paste that and just put it over onto that. Like
exactly. Kentucky 28, Eastern Kentucky 17. I put let's get it together, Kentucky, because they started off slow last week, pulled it away in the second half. We can't be winning against Eastern Kentucky by 11, guys. This is an FCS team, and not a good one at that. We need to get it to Kentucky. What's going on here? What is the deal?
The tragic thing is that they will still probably beat Florida.
Why are you like this? Why are you like this, Tyler? I see you see this and you say, you know what? They're probably still going to be Kentucky or they're still going to be Florida. I look at this and I go, oh, I might be able to flip that Kentucky L into a W. Get with it, Tyler.
I'm just messing with you. I don't actually believe that.
Oh
but
got too many D&D sessions with friend of the podcast, Austin. I love him, but way too negative.
I was going to say him and Day, I think, have been starting to affect my opinion about football.
Hold on. We there's no way that you're taking Day-Day's football opinions seriously.
No, it's the things like every time Day-Day opens his mouth about football, I'm like, here's the thing. I'm like, I don't agree with any of this, but it's still that thing. You can completely disagree with something, but if you continue to just be next to it, it will start to seep into your subconscious.
I get it. I was with Day-Day on Saturday.
I'm starting to not believe in Desmond Ritter anymore.
Well, okay.
And I like Desmond Ritter.
Yeah, on that one, I might not.
I mean, that's the most lukewarm thing in the world. But
listen, I
just wanted to say that. I just want to say that to mess with you. No, but it's true. This is the version of Kentucky that Mark Stoops is supposed to have not had anymore.
Correct.
For years, this was they don't do this anymore.
Yes. Creeping in. Northwestern 38, UTEP 7. I just put glad Northwestern can get a win because they are not going to be coming by this season.
Count them.
Good for them.
Get them when you have them.
UTSA 20, Texas State 13. Texas State is legit. You don't just beat Baylor. Granted, not the best Baylor team, not the best Baylor performance, I should say.
Still more talented than you.
And this is the UTSA Roadrunners.
Also more talented than you.
In a non-conference game. That's good. Texas State playing well. Ohio 17, FAU 10. Sloppy play from Casey Thompson. And a horrible running game. They had 5 total yards on 15 carries.
What?
Thompson had 4 rushes for negative 22 yards. That does include 3 sacks. But still, negative 22 for Casey Thompson. This was sloppy. This was I talked to Raul about an hour ago before we were recording, and we were saying the same thing. He was like, yeah, he thinks that FAU was looking, he thinks FAU saw Clemson's performance against Duke and was caught looking ahead going, we might be able to
what else is the explanation for you losing to a MAC game?
Yeah. Well, he did say that and I agree with him. I watched the first 3 quarters of this game and then I had to flip the iPad to something else, but and that's something else with the Gator game. But I watched the first 3 quarters of this game, and I did also notice, and Raul did mention this, the Ohio offensive and defensive lines, the trenches, they were Midwestern boys. You could tell.
Oh, gotcha.
They were Midwestern boys.
And them corn-fed.
Yeah. And this is a perfect place to give this take, but in a silver lining of all of the chaos from this summer, Tyler, with realignment and everything, is that I think that the lower divisions, your American, your Sun Belt, your Max, those conferences, we're going to start to see a heightened sense of their regional identity. So, for example, we're going to be seeing a lot more corn-fed, run the football from the MAC teams. We're going to see a lot more short, speedy wide receiver, slot receivers get the ball quickly from Sunbelt teams because they're in the South and they get to Florida and all those things. I think we're going to start to see that a lot more. That's kind of a running theory that I have. So.
Interesting.
But
yeah,
yeah.
I hate to pile on for the bad news for FAU though. I did just before we started recording play in my NCAA Dynasty League where the Gators were the number 6 Florida Gators, 11-2 were 10-3. Played the FAU Owls, beat them I believe 38-13. Only touchdown from FAU was a defensive touchdown where the guy just jumped a wide receiver screen that I threw and just took it to the house. Great credit to that play for that player in my 9th year of a Dynasty League that is auto-generated. So I'm not a real person, but
congrats to the current 6th grader that made that play. Cincinnati 27, Pittsburgh 21. Good sign for the Bearcats going into the new Big 12 schedule. I think Pitt is, while not what they were in the past couple of years, is still a formidable and reputable ACC team. And also they hold the Pitt principle. Anything can happen with Pitt. So it was nice that Cincinnati got over.
True.
Missouri 23, Middle Tennessee State 19. Keep an eye on Eli Drinkwitz. That's all I'm saying. Again, I don't like to bet on first coach fired. Allegedly,
this has been your long time one. This has been
one that I've said this for about a year and a half now. Yeah. Rice 43, Houston 41 in double overtime. Good on Rice. Yikes. Great for them. Yikes for Houston and Dago Holgerson.
Isn't this a Big 12 team?
Don't bet on first coach fired, allegedly. Yikes. Oh man. This is bad. This is as bad as it kind of could have gone for Houston so far. Not looking good, man. I don't know if they're going to be as impactful in the Big 12 as they think they are. At least not with Dana Holgerson and how it's going now. So,
but the job is more attractive than previously,
definitely
because it's the Big 12. So,
it's the right decision for Houston.
No, it's the right decision.
Yeah, but
this is a Big 12 team though now.
Well, listen,
losing to Rice.
The University of Houston at the moment is a basketball school, and that is not something that should be happening in the state of Texas. So, Mississippi State 31, Arizona 24 in overtime. I wrote here, this is part of a trend where the bottom half of the SEC isn't as good as the rest of the nation thinks it is regarding the SEC strength of schedule. For example, Georgia's going to boat race through the majority of their schedule. There's a couple teams on there that might give them a little bit of trouble, but I'm comfortable that they're going to go undefeated again. And we're kind of relying on this 2005 to 2000 and maybe like 21 maybe philosophy that the SEC's schedule is the toughest out of everyone, and
it's not holding up. Like the SEC, the SEC has lost most of their non-conference games so far this year. Pretty much all of them. The best
of the SEC can hold it up against any other team in the country. I believe that. After that first tier, and I'm including our beloved Florida Gators in there, I am not so sure that the rest of the conference is better outside of a Georgia, outside of a Bama, outside of a maybe LSU, and outside of...
I still would put LSU in that conversation because, FSU has proved that they're absolutely legit.
Okay, not sure.
I need to see LSU against a real team.
Yes. Well, we'll talk about that later on. But I just wanted to throw that out there, that the SEC may not be what it advertises itself. It was for about 15 years, for sure.
No, but it's been trending. It's been trending. Then there's a lot of factors to that. But another win for Will Rogers.
Another one. Yes.
I'm like weirdly a big Will Rogers fan because
I know you like him a lot.
I like that he is gonna he's just gonna have an insane amount of Mississippi State records.
But it's like why are all the records Will Rogers? Because it was the 5-year span where we just ran the air raid. Oh, God.
And he played since he was a freshman.
Yeah, literally. Handpicked by Mike Leach, RIP. Oh, man. Fresno State 34, Eastern Washington 31, double overtime. Fresno State needed double overtime to beat an FCS team. A good FCS team, but an FCS team nonetheless.
What's going on in this country right now? What's going on with football in this country?
That is a loaded question. That is a loaded question. And then last one before we go into 2-point, Oklahoma State 27, Arizona State 15. Cowboys started slow, but they did get it into gear, and they shut out the Sun Devils in the second half. I think that's a good sign going forward because I, for one, would like for Bedlam to be competitive this year, given that it's the last one. I still want Oklahoma to win, but I want it to be competitive. So there's that. All right, Tyler, into 5 wide and 2-point. The former number 22 ranked Colorado Buffaloes 36. They beat Nebraska 36-14. Excuse me. We both get the points there. First half was slow, but Colorado did get into gear in the second half. Is Nebraska cursed? And
No, they're just bad.
They're just okay. Fine.
They're just bad.
They're just bad. Listen,
I'm not willing to go with cursed yet. They're just bad.
I feel horrible watching Jeff Sims play quarterback because he is a former Waffle House University Bees quarterback, and we love him.
He was better there than he is at Nebraska.
Yeah, it was bad, dude. It was bad. Well, at least Jahmyr Gibbs is doing well.
Yeah.
And then Shadur Sanders saying in the post game how he felt that they were disrespected, and specifically saying that Matt Rule disrespected Deion Sanders. How, I don't know, but okay. Afterwards, Rule, or in press conference on Monday, Rule was talking to the media, and he's like, yeah, man, I guess they didn't like that we met at midfield before the game. He's like, that's just part of our pregame routine. We did that at Minnesota last week. We get in the middle, we say a little prayer. He's like, and again, non-denominational, Muslim guys, Jewish, whatever, whatever. We're just having a moment of spirituality if you would like to join. If not, that's okay. He's like, I asked Shadur if he wanted to join. And apparently, like, Deion took that as like, and used it as fuel for his team, which any good coach would. Let's be real.
Yeah, no, I mean, like,
used it as fuel for his team and was
it's that
disrespecting us.
It's that funny thing where like we all make fun of it, which is like, oh, nobody's. It's the same thing like in the NFL, like they're saying like Brock Purdy, like shut up all the haters with this week 1 performance. It was like, oh, that's silly. Brock Purdy doesn't have haters, and I'm like, yeah, but they are gonna drum it up because it makes them play better. Like,
guys, to be successful in a sport like football at a high level like college and professional, you have to, like, Michael Jordan made up a story in his head about someone disrespecting him just to drop like 55 points in a game. Like, this is the stuff that those people do, man. They're wired and built different, and that's part of what makes them great because they're able to do those things and get the best out of themselves.
By the way, did you see Deion Sanders' Instagram post?
No, I do not follow Deion Sanders on Instagram.
No, I don't either, but Day sent me this specifically.
Yes.
Deion Sanders sent a Instagram post of him wishing happy birthday to his son, and it said it was his favorite child, and ranked his 5 children.
Deion Sanders
was
just the son.
Deion Sanders Jr. Shadur Sanders, his current quarterback, is number 3.
Yeah.
Colorado State may have the death penalty imbibed on them on this Saturday. Shadur Sanders is going to wear out his arm throwing against that team. Oh, yeah. But if it works,
it's game day. Game day is going to.
Oh boy, which I'm actually happy about because like I do think that this Colorado thing is getting a little out of hand in regards to the media. Like, I understand,
right?
Like,
get it? Yeah, I get it.
I get it. And it's like they're following, like, Fox Sports made a gamble, like by buying into the Deion thing, and it's working out for them. And I actually do. Even though I think it's getting out of hand, I do like that game day is going there because, like, if you saw the aerial coverage of like the game day at Alabama, and like nobody was there because they expect game day to be there. So I'm like, man, game day should be about these like the big games, but like if you can have a like important game that's not one of the big schools, that's where you should go.
That's why the UCF hosting game day in 2017 towards the end of it, or in 2018, whenever it was. That's one of my favorite like game day shots. They packed that whole thing, and they had the flat. It was cool.
Colorado's going to be packed. So
Colorado's going to be packed. They're taking on Colorado State this Saturday night, 10:30 kick. It's right after the Gator game on ESPN. I'm saying that now because that did not make our 5 wide. So just letting everyone know that that's when that game is.
Okay.
We both get the points there.
Yeah.
Ole Miss 37, Tulane 20. We both get the points on this one. But Michael Pratt was ruled out literally right before the game and did not play.
Sad.
I did not know until I turned on the game and heard the broadcast saying, Michael Pratt not going to be suiting up his replacement. I was like, wait, what? Whoa. That's not what I wanted to watch. I wanted to watch Michael. I wanted to watch Michael Pratt go up against
Pratt is a legitimate NFL draft prospect. And
yes, like I was so bummed out. Like he was
weirdly,
like
though,
40% of why I was hyped about this game, and I wasn't able to see that.
Weirdly, though, Tulane still made it a really big fight. Which
close in the first half.
Because then I'm sitting there being like, if Michael Pratt was in here, would they have just won? Like,
I know.
But Tulane put up a really big fight, but eventually just dam kind of broke very late, like into the fourth quarter. Like it was still a good game, but eventually just some things broke the Ole Miss's way, And yeah,
Good game though.
Points there. Good game.
Enjoyable. Not the game I was expecting to see in terms of what I wanted in terms of Michael Pratt and all that, but good game nonetheless. Moving forward, Miami 48. When was the last time the Hurricanes dropped 48, Tyler? Jeez. Miami 48, Texas A&M 33. I get the point on this one because I picked the Hurricanes. Tyler Van Dyke is looking like the Tyler Van Dyke we thought he was before 2022, which is a really good sign for the Hurricanes. They also look much better, and they look much more organized and disciplined out there. I thought the Hurricanes played a really good game. The defense, Tyler, I am going to be very careful to invoke this.
Oh, boy.
But there are shades, and they're very light.
Oh.
They're not thick shades. They're not thick. They're very light shades of that early 2000s aggressiveness that we came to associate the Hurricanes with as a brand. It's true, Tyler. The defense is hitting. They are hitting out there, and they look good doing it. I got to call a spade a spade. It is what it is. They're out there hitting, man, and they're playing good football. On the other side, the A&M offense looked a bit different. I can tell the Petrino influence. There's a little bit more up-tempo. There's a little bit more spread. Yeah. It's not as Jimbo-fied as it was in the past, which I think is a good sign for them going forward.
That's a good sign.
But it's very clear to me that in terms of which coach made more adjustments after a very disappointing season, I think Mario Cristobal is the one that takes the reins on that over Jimbo Fisher. And I think none of that is shown more than Jimbo Fisher after the game complaining that Miami was mimicking their snap count. They showed the video, and Hurricane fans were like, there's not even a clap. Like, because, the up-tempo sometimes, they clap to snap the ball, whatever. And they're like, no one on the line claps or whatever. But when you watch the video, there's a cornerback that is clapping, but he's not clapping to mimic the snap count. He was trying to get the attention of one of his guys. It just so happened it was at the same time as the snap. And so Jimbo was like, oh, can you believe this? They're out there, bad sportsmanship and blah, 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 whatever it is Jimbo was about now. Exactly. Grow up. Like, I get, okay, there was a clap or whatever, but like,
Jimbo, would you be complaining about this if you had won? No. So we can tell that it doesn't matter. Look, yes, you're just bitter.
Exactly. What did you take from this game, Tyler?
The most of it was positives for Miami. Texas A&M looked better than we'd seen them these past couple of years, but still look just with it. They don't look like reinvented. They look better. They look more like they've got a lot of talent. It looks more in sync. They were able to score points. Running game looked good, especially in the second half. And that was the worry. As there was a point where I was like, okay, Miami's really got to step on the gas here because A&M might start leaning on them running wise. But Tyler Van Dyke figured it out. 5 touchdowns, amazing performance. Probably one of the best quarterback performances of the weekend.
Agreed.
Probably the best.
I don't know. Bo Nix was really good at the end of that game.
Yeah, but yeah.
And we will talk about Quinn Ewers in a second.
That's a good point. One of the best. But it's good to see if you're looking at it from the Miami perspective, like the defense being good. That's great. I think that having shades of just playing good defense and immediately being like, looks like early 2000s, a little over the top, but you're down there. You're down there.
It wasn't the played a little bit of good defense. They're back. No, it wasn't that.
Okay,
it was the physic. I could tell the physicality was there. Yes.
Okay. Well, that's a really good sign. But it's like, as much as that is important, I think it's more important that Tyler Van Dyke looked good. The offense looked like it hummed because guess what? You got to you can shut down FSU a little bit, but you're going to have to outscore them.
Yes.
And
it's nice to know that they can keep up.
It's nice to know that you have. It's nice to know, and I don't know how consistent this will be able to be done. Because again, week 2, we still don't know fully why we're seeing what we're seeing. Is A&M's defense just trash? I don't think that's it. I think Tyler Van Dyke is really good. It's nice to see that you have the capability to do that. It was one of those things where it was really felt like at a certain time that Miami was going to Texas A&M was just they were creeping back up, and if the defense could just make a stop, they were going to get right back in it. And Miami never gave them the opportunity to do that because Tyler Van Dyke was just like, nope, touchdown.
And
It's
despite
really positive development.
despite some late offensive relevance and competence by A&M, it did look like they were starting to mount a comeback. And like you said, Tyler Van Dyke was like, nah, dude, we're going to be fine. Tyler Van Dyke doing his best Tua impression. Don't worry, guys. I got this. You know what I mean? It was nice to see. That's only one. We're like 45 minutes, 46 minutes or whatever into this podcast. One Tua reference. Want to point that out. We're going to get some more at the end. Don't worry. Iowa 20, Iowa State 13. I get the points on this one. This was all Iowa from the beginning. There was a fourth quarter comeback attempt from Iowa State, but Iowa, I think, scored 13 of their 20 points in the first quarter and cruised.
I'm genuinely not surprised by this outcome, even though I picked Iowa State. Like, I picked Iowa State for the brand. For the brand.
Yeah.
I actually expected Iowa to win because, like, it's just, yeah. The LSU is always this type of game, and this is the one type of game that Iowa knows how to win.
Yeah. And listen, Cyhawk is going to Cyhawk, all right?
Yeah. Well, my favorite thing to come out of this game was the viral meme on Twitter of there was a certain ex-president there at the game, and several Cyclone fans did not like that. And I appreciate that.
I did see that.
Faith is in the right. I am rightly a Cyclone supporter.
And my favorite part of that is that it was multiple
when does one guy
candidates for there were multiple candidates for, let me put this straight. 2 people that have been in charge of governing the place where I live, one of them federally, one of them at the state level, got the same similar treatment from those fans, and I just want to say thank you. I just want to say thank you.
As a someone who lives in a Big Ten town, we appreciate
someone who lives in the state of Florida. I really appreciate
as someone in the state of Florida. I really appreciate you. Like,
oh man, that was good. All right, last one in 5 wide.
Let's talk about it.
The game of the week.
This was good.
Texas 34, Alabama 24. I get the points on this one. Texas dominated the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, which is crazy to say because what do we think of Alabama being really good at? And it's the trenches. And on both sides of the ball, Texas dominated. Quinn Ewers, that boy got an arm multiple times.
He had that Phillip Rivers sidearm action.
Yeah,
I thought the same thing. He doesn't really step into his throw. He just kind of does it. I don't know what they talked about this. Quinn Ewers came more calm down, more religious, got rid of the mullet, which I personally don't think you need to get rid of the mullet to become more religious. I definitely
think you to be religious. No, I don't think you need to cut the mullet.
But I think he needed to cut the mullet
because
Samson situation. Cutting the mullet made Quinn Ewers better. I don't I know. Throw out
Samson.
Throw out training camp. That has nothing to do with it. He cut off the mullet, gained powers, as opposed to losing them.
I just thought he had to cut the mullet because it looked bad. That's it. That's all. That's all I was thinking, man.
Yeah, no, but regardless of the jokes, this game full of deep shots, full of deep balls. One thing, I gotta give credit to Jalen Milroe. The one thing that he's genuinely very good at, he throws a hell of a deep ball, and he does. He can connect with those guys. That's the thing. Is Alabama's my take in this situation is Alabama's offense for so long. They started to get players that manufactured the focus was getting explosive big plays, and it's they had a run of really, we found out really incredible quarterbacks. Jalen
and wide receivers,
Tua, Bryce Young, Mac Jones is even in there. I'll throw him in there for this. For this,
absolutely, absolutely. He's an NFL quarterback.
He's incredible wide receivers. At an unprecedented run of quarterbacks and wide receivers going to the NFL at a high level and continuing to play at a high level in the NFL.
Highlighted by Tua Tagovailoa and Jalen Waddle. Exactly correct.
You couldn't help yourself. And Calvin Ridley.
And Calvin Ridley. I'll give you that. I'll give you Calvin Ridley. Absolutely. Allegedly, Calvin Ridley. But that should be his nickname, by the way. Calvin Ridley, allegedly. That'd be really good.
But now we're in a situation where, okay, their offense and their recruiting has been so built about these big wide receivers, fast wide receivers, deep shots, all that kind of stuff. Now, Jalen Milroe is a good college quarterback, very talented, athletic kid. Again, it is not easy to hit deep shots well, so I give him credit. But it's okay, you've gone from elite college quarterback that's an NFL prospect to just good college quarterback, and you don't necessarily have the pieces to manufacture just the simple parts of the offense. Like the running game is kind of mismatchy. Like they couldn't hit singles. All they could rely on was home runs, and that's very fun to watch. But that's the difference in this game. That won't matter for most of Alabama's season. But in a game like this, Alabama's so used to turning singles into doubles, or stealing bases, and like it's like you're throwing a curl route, but then you're throwing it to Devontae Smith, and he's going to end up making the guy miss and go an extra 30 yards. You're so used to making more out of just your simple offense, and then getting the deep shots on top of that. That now they're just like they're getting the deep shots, but they're not getting any of the simple stuff.
Yeah.
It's hard to continue offense. Sorry for that rant.
No, you're good. First of all, incredible baseball analogy. Just hats off to you. You were in your podcast.
I live in a Dodgers town.
You were in your podcast in a Big Ten Dodgers town. Love to see it in your podcasting bag. Number one. Number two, I'm glad you said that, Tyler, because I was actually, this kind of mirrors with three things that I have, right? First one is I wrote Saban goes back to 2010. And it's because he doesn't have a Tua. He doesn't have a Hurts. He doesn't have a Devontae Smith, a Waddle, a Ruggs. He doesn't have those players that, like you said, turn a single into a double or turn a double into a triple. Completely agree. But because he doesn't have that, he just said, you know what? Let's go back to what worked. Well, way back when, right? So he tries to go back to 2010. He tries to run the football. He has someone like Jalen Milroe who can throw the deep ball when needed, but is very good with his legs and is able to do those things. But here's the issue, Tyler. This is a fantastic tweet that you sent me by Shahan Jaraja.
No, this had my mind going in like a million directions.
And it was such a good take, such a good analysis. And I want to give him credit because it was sent out at 6 p.m. on September 9th before the game. So great analysis, and I think it came to fruition in the game. I've actually spoken to Shahan before. He's a great guy. I was on a podcast with him and our friend of the podcast, Kevin Borba. I've had conversations with him. Bright college football guy. And this is such a good take. He says on his Twitter account, he tweeted on September 9th, he says, I don't understand why Texas A&M isn't more dominant up front. They have Georgia-level talent. Correct. But then he quotes this tweet and says, I'm workshopping a take that the reason that Ohio State, Alabama, and Clemson have taken a step back is because Texas A&M has essentially taken 10 to 15 of the rarest defensive line athletes in the sport and made them irrelevant. I don't believe it yet, but I've got an eyebrow raised.
I think
this is genius. I think this is one of the best analysis of what is going on in college football right now. A&M has been recruiting at an elite level, but they're not
with
doing
no results
anything.
To back it up.
Exactly. Not doing anything with it. And if you're there's only 32 5-stars every single year. If A&M is coming in and taking 6 of them and 4 of them happen to be along defensive and offensive lines, that's going to have an impact across the country. Yeah. These are the small recruiting wars that are happening between conferences and between the high level, what I like to call semi-professional football programs. That is what's happening at that level. And so when you take the fact that Saban wants to go back to 2010, when you take the fact that the players that he needs to do that are going to other programs and not producing at that highest level, you end up with what happened on Saturday. And on top of that, I just wanted the last little thing. I saw my Uncle Mike on Sunday. He was born and raised in Alabama, came to Hialeah in the 50s, 60s, raised over here, has been living here his whole life, but he's a diehard Tide fan. And we were talking about the game on Sunday, and he was like, his original take was, I don't like that the new quarterback Milroe he commits to the scramble and to the run a bit quicker than he would like. He would like for him to kind of look at progressions and stuff. But then I told him, and I was like, yeah, but that's not what Saban wants him to do. Like, if he could do that, then you would have the offense that Tua ran. You would have the offense that Hurts ran, that Jones.
If you could just hit, and like we called, I mean, not you and I, but everyone called Tua just a slant quarterback.
I definitely did not call Tua just a slant quarterback.
But that was the main thing, is that he was just like, he's just dinking and dunking it to guys, and
or even the take when it's like, when you're throwing to receivers like that.
Do that. Like, if they could do that, they would.
Right.
And I didn't mean to cut you off, but
No, you're good. It's just that is what Alabama fans are dealing with, right? And he straight up told me, my Uncle Mike straight up told me, I have been so used to having elite quarterback and wide receiver play that going back to what happened before that, I'm just not used to it yet. He said, I'll get used to it and I'll learn to like it and the results will come. I'm just not used to it yet. And I just think that encompasses the whole Nick Saban Alabama conversation right now.
And it's interesting because I've had this feeling, this take by Shahan really puts it all in perspective. Because I was like, what feels different the last 2 years? Like Ohio State, Alabama, Clemson, and a couple other teams. Like they have those three that were like they dominated the sport for like a good 5-year period. It's like they've been good, but they haven't been as good as they used to be. And it's just like that's allowed teams like Michigan and weirdly TCU and Georgia to just leap forward into like without the elite quarterback play. Georgia has overtaken them because Georgia's not losing anything to Texas A&M. But it's like, what is that? And it's like this take really puts it in perspective. Now, I want to be real clear here. We've spent most of this time talking about the team that lost, and that is the Alabama Dallas Cowboys-ish type effect. I want to give credit to Texas. Excellent game plan.
Absolutely.
Quinn Ewers looked better than he had all last year. We all kind of believed like, oh, if Quinn Ewers stays in the Alabama game last year, they may have won. This just made it without a doubt. First home loss by 10 or by double-digit points from Nick Saban since he was at LSU.
Eesh.
Like Joe Burrow didn't even win by double digits.
That's before the NFL tenure we don't speak of.
Like Ron Zook's Florida Gators were the ones that did that to him. Like no, it was Steve Spurrier's Florida Gators.
Go Gators.
Go Gators. But
that's crazy, dude. I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, he at Alabama, this is the first time he's lost it by double digits at home. He's lost at home, but not like this. And it was, the deep ball. I've noticed somebody talk about this, is that like Quinn Ewers isn't necessarily the most accurate with the deep ball, but he gives it a lot of air because he's got a really powerful arm that the wide receiver is able to meet it where it is, to track it basically.
Yes. That fourth quarter deep ball, he threw off his back foot from the 50. And it was, that was where I noticed that Phillip Rivers, I was like, this man literally stepped in the pocket and just launched this like 60 yards. Like, he thinks he's Tua now? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
I'm finding ways. I'm finding ways. I have an agenda and it will be pushed.
And it's like, Texas has weapons. They've been recruiting well. Sark has finally started to put it together. I mean, Sark was the one who orchestrated the Mac Jones, Devontae Smith, Heisman year like offense. Like,
right, the guy knows what he's doing.
This should not be a surprise. They've been recruiting well. It's very much credit to Texas. And what I really love, because I watched the like post game talk with Quinn Ewers. First of all, I don't actually think Quinn Ewers heard a single word that Holly Rowe was saying, like at all. None of the answers.
Good thing he didn't.
None of the answers to the questions were actually the answer that she asked. He was just like, God's good. We came out and fought today. And I'm like, you could say that at anything. He did at the end say though, she's like, what do you want to tell the nation with this? He's like, we don't got anything to say. We got a lot of games left. Like,
and I love that. That's the way to handle it.
Because like the Sam Ehlinger credit, like, I mean, it was a great moment, and I was happy because they beat Georgia. But that will be memed forever.
And it was a Sugar Bowl, and it was a big game, or whatever. But I will say, I feel more. I don't want to say Texas is back, but I think that Quinn Ewers saying we got a lot more games to go. I don't want to say anything.
That's the mentality you need. That's the thing.
That is the path to being capital B, quote unquote, back.
Yeah.
That is how you get back. So,
right.
Well done. I completely agree. Excellent game. Really, really a good and enjoyable college football experience. Like, I had a great time. This was second screen for me because, this was third screen for me. It. But I had, this was on the laptop, so the screen was a little bit bigger just because I wanted to watch it so much. So, great game. Very excited for both of these teams. Excited to see how Alabama responds, and also excited to see where Texas can go and take this. So very happy with this performance. I'm gonna put Shahan's Twitter in the description. He works for CBS Sports. Everyone should follow him. A great college football follow. Really smart guy. His only fatal flaw is that he is a fan of Baylor, and that's okay. Not all of us can be perfect, but he's a Baylor fan. So. Great guy. No, seriously, I'm joking around, messing around, but great guy. His Twitter link will be in the description below. I highly recommend a follow. Great guy. Our 2 points, Tyler. You picked our beloved for the record, Washington State and Oregon State will be ours from now on. Like, this is it.
Yeah,
like
we own
we're they don't have a conference. You can come to Sideline Judgment. It's okay. We got you. Washington State 31, Wisconsin 22. You get 2 points on this. I just put go off, Tyler.
Never a doubt.
Love to see it.
No, never a doubt.
And then
I don't have anything else to say.
My 2 point was UCF beating Boise State, and they did that 18-16. I get 2 points on that. This was an ugly game.
It was bad.
Like an ugly game. It also didn't help that John Rice Plumlee suffered a leg injury in this game. The UCF quarterback, Gus Malzahn, is saying that he will be out for the next few weeks. Timmy McClain is going to start in the meantime. If
only Mikey Keene was here.
Well, Mikey Keene is too busy barely beating an FCS team with Fresno State. So I don't know if that's the best thing that we want to say. I will say that my UCF friends did text me yesterday, be like, hey, what's the news on Plumlee? And I told them what they said. I took a look at the schedule, and it looks like his injury doesn't have a surgery that's required. My guess is he's back either against Kansas on October 7th, or more likely, I think that because they play Kansas on the 7th, there's a bye week on the 14th, and then they play Oklahoma on the 21st. If I was Gus, I would hold him out from that Kansas game and give him that extra week.
Yeah, because Kansas
of the
is
bye week.
guaranteed L, so.
Well, a guaranteed L? Okay.
You think that team is going to beat Jalen Daniels?
Nope, I'm with you. I thought you said a guaranteed W, and I went, whoa, let's have some respect.
No, it's a guaranteed L.
Some
Jalen
respect
Daniels
for the Jayhawks.
Like,
we love Lance Leopold.
I don't actually hate UCF, but Jalen Daniels, I love.
No.
So
that is a I trust Lance Leopold, and Jaden Daniels with my life pick is what I'm doing. So, and then shout out to Colton Boomer for the game-winning field goal to save my 2 point this week, and to save my UCF friends a lot of heartbreak, and my girlfriend as well. I have 18 points. Tyler has 11.
Touchdown game.
One score game. Anything can happen.
I am nervous because this could get out of hand pretty quickly.
Yeah, you need to start getting some points
back. But if I take the wrong swings, I will dig my hole even deeper. But you know what?
Will.
It's week 3, baby.
It's week 3. Listen, we got to get to Florida Corner, and I got to talk some you know what about Tua. So let's quickly run through these 5 wide and 2 points. Kicking things off this week, number 14 ranked LSU is taking on Mississippi State. That is a noon kickoff on ESPN. Tyler, I get the first pick in 2 point this week, which means that you get the first pick. So Who do you got here? You got LSU or you got Mississippi State?
As much as I love Mississippi State from like a story perspective, and I just like watching them for fun, I'm picking LSU in this because, again, it's like LSU lost to looks like a really good FSU team.
Yeah.
And it's really kind of played nobodies. Well, in 1 week has played like a nobody since then. Yeah. I don't remember what they were, but they were a low level team. Mm-hmm. But so it's like, I still think
they played Southern. They played Southern, which is in Baton Rouge, by the way.
Yeah. So I think that they're going to prove that they're still a good team against Mississippi State.
Agreed. I'm on the same page as you. Chalk me up there next to you. Next game, Minnesota is heading to Chapel Hill to take on the number 20 ranked North Carolina Tar Heels. 3:30 Eastern kickoff on ESPN. I get the first pick here. I'm going to go with North Carolina here because I think that when you look at the rosters top to bottom, North Carolina has a better roster. And I am hoping, this is my hope here, I am hoping that Drake May can have the game where I can take a deep breath and go, oh, okay, good. Heisman potential is still there, and also draft pick. So, excuse me, I'm hiccuping here.
All good.
Tyler, who do you have in this game?
I'm going to go with North Carolina as well. I think Minnesota's capable in this situation of upsetting them, but like it's not like they were schmucks against South Carolina. They did beat them pretty decisively, and App State just plays you that way sometimes. So I think that they'll roll.
I also think that given what we saw at Nebraska last week, especially in the second half and how bad they looked.
Yeah, like how good was that Minnesota win?
Yeah, and they were at home, so exactly. So, nope. The number 8 ranked Washington Huskies, they're traveling to Lansing, East Lansing, to take on Michigan State. This is a 5:00 Eastern kick on Peacock, the streaming service. Okay. I mean, I have Peacock because I'm a wrestling fan, so not affecting me.
My friend
but
works for Peacock.
Oh, does he?
She
tell her we want the WWE Network interface back to how it was before Peacock. I would like her to know that.
That actually falls somewhere close to her jurisdiction, so
Does
I
it
actually
really?
I may talk to her about that.
I just I like I like the fact that the network WWE Network is on Peacock and I can access all the old match and stuff. I just need the interface to be improved. The WWE Network interface was so much better than the Peacock interface. We're getting off track. The point being, Washington is traveling to East Lansing to take on Michigan State. You have the first pick in this game, Tyler. Who do you have in this this game that is streaming on Peacock?
Well, I'm going to pick Washington. I'm no suspense about this. I'm going to pick Washington. I love Michael Penix Jr. and their wide receivers and that passing game and the defense. However, I will say I don't think this is, even though Michigan State's without Mel Tucker, I don't think this is as much of a guarantee because I do think Michigan State's defense will be frisky, and Washington being in East Lansing is the tricky thing in this regard to me.
Yes, the true road game aspect of this.
A true road game in Michigan. Like that's gonna for West Coast team. I'm picking confidently because the divide between the two teams I think is great enough for me to go with Washington. But on the road, I don't know. I'm weird about this. When you take a team that's main draw is its passing attack and you put them on the road very far away against a defensive team, it's like if they had a good running attack, that'd be one that I would still probably I feel more confident. But a good passing attack against Michigan State, I don't know. I'm still gonna go with Washington though.
I am agreeing with you 100% for all the same reasons, but I'm going to keep an eye on this. Definitely going to probably make more of an effort to watch rather than just, I have most games on. I can stream I can watch about 4, maybe 5 games at a time. And I kind of am selective on what I do. And I know that this is on 5 wide and I typically watch all the 5 wide games. But given the 5:00 start time, I may or may not be getting as much towards the end of the game simply because the Florida and UCF games are going to be on. FAU is going to be playing. You know what I mean? There's a whole lot of things going on where
there's a lot going on at that time.
My attention will be driven. My undivided
I'm
attention.
I'm gonna keep my eye on the score though.
I'm going to make an effort to have this game on a separate screen off to the side so that I can watch the end of this because I do feel like this will be closer than what we think. Traveling does have a factor there.
I could see a version of this game where I could see a version where Washington just destroys them because Washington's really good. I could also see a version of this game where you're like, okay, Washington's in the lead. At some point, they're going to pull away, though. And you get it, it's like, damn, it's the 4th quarter, and it's still a one-score game.
Exactly. It's like, hey, when is, hey, Michael, when are you, Mr. Penix, sir, when are we doing this?
But then again, important to note, Michael Penix Jr. has experience against Big Ten teams. I did forget that. So
he does have that. That's all right. They're the better team regardless, so we're going to go with them anyway. Yeah. BYU takes on Arkansas, 7:30 Eastern kick on ESPN2. One of the sneaky fun non-conference games of this year. Tyler,
both are 2-0.
I pick first.
Yes,
both are 2-0. This is tough. I don't know where to go here. This is like the hardest pick so far of this season, I think. No, I don't know. Texas Alabama was pretty tough last week, but I picked right, so
doesn't feel like it now.
I'm gonna go with Arkansas.
Okay.
And it's simply because they're at home. And this is something where I like BYU, but I think that BYU being an independent the past few years, I know they have that little Mormon advantage that they always are able to have 28-year-old sophomores or whatever. But I do think this is tough because these are both 2 coaches that I like a lot as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just gut-wise, when I'm 50-50 like this, I just want to go with the home team. So I'm going to go with Arkansas. Yeah. They're at home.
Unfortunately, I am going to agree with you, and I'm also going to take Arkansas. I know that we're not really different.
You better hit your 2 point this week.
Yeah.
The way it's going, the way these pictures are lining up.
Mostly because, one, because friend of the pod, Courtney Mims, covers the team. But this is a good KJ Jefferson year.
Yes.
KJ Jefferson operates under the Auburn situation where it's on odd years he's great and on even years he's But
dare I say the good Bo Nix, bad Bo Nix has been transferred over to KJ Jefferson. Yeah. Dare I say.
So far this season, 31 for 42, 382 yards, 5 touchdowns in passing. Yeah. Rushing wise, I'm gonna pull it up. because I can. Where la 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 la, and it's taken forever because
I'll cut this
ESPN
out. Don't
doesn't.
worry.
No,
I'll cut this.
no. Leave it in. This is good podcasting.
You want me to leave this in?
No, well, you don't have to actually.
Okay.
Come on, where is it? 23. So far, he's rushed for only 59 yards.
I'm definitely leaving it in now.
All that.
That's funny.
Okay. KJ Jefferson has looked good. The team has looked good. I'm interested to see how they go when they get into SEC play, but I think that the Arkansas is going to win in this situation. I think it'll be close, though.
I agree. It'll be a fun game. And finally, the backyard brawl. Pittsburgh taking on West Virginia, 7:30 Eastern on ABC. This game is in Morgantown, West Virginia. It is going to be a fun one. I wish I was going to this game because I, as the listeners know, lived in Morgantown for a few months on a theater contract, and it was a very unique town. And they loved their West Virginia Mountaineers, and they hated the Pitt Panthers in the middle of the summer when they hadn't played for over a decade. I can only imagine what that game day atmosphere will be like. This is on my bucket list. I want to go to a backyard brawl at West Virginia. I am very excited to watch this game on television. Tyler, you pick first. Who do you have?
Okay. This is tough because this is just tough. It just is. But I think if you look at West Virginia, they're interesting because they're 1-1. They demolished Duquesne last week. That doesn't really mean anything to me. It just means that they didn't lose to an FCS team like all these other teams seem to be doing. So that's a positive sign. But their week 1 game, they got demolished. But they did get demolished by Penn State, who we haven't talked about much, but looks really good.
Yes, they do look very good.
Drew
And I'm hopeful we'll talk about them in the future
looks
weeks.
really good. Like it is like we haven't had much reason to talk about them. But they look really good. So it's really hard because it's the cupcake versus one of the hardest teams to play all year. They got demolished in one. They did the demolishing in the other. It's really hard to find the balance. Pitt's had an upsetting loss. I'm gonna go with West Virginia.
I hate to be this person, Tyler, but I too am going with West Virginia. I was hoping you'd pick Pitt to have an opposite thing, but
I thought you were gonna pick Pitt.
You think I'm gonna pick against West Virginia after the story I just told of me living there for a few months?
See this thing. You told that story, and I was like, oh, maybe I misread this situation because I was like, because Pitt's definitely favored to win. But
listen, real story. I can't wait to hear Sweet Caroline because the first day that I showed up to this contract, I drove in in my car, unloaded my stuff into the apartment, and across the street there was a bar. We were living in the same apartment, all the theater people, whatever, and we all went over. We walked over to, have some dinner or whatever. And some of the people that were in our cast were recently graduated from West Virginia. And at the end of the night, Tyler, they played Sweet Caroline. And Sweet Caroline, instead of, bum, bum, bum. But when they say bump, 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 they say eat, S-H-I-T, pit. That's what they say. Bum, bum, bum. And I heard it for the first time and was like, wait, you guys say what? And the people that had just graduated, who I ended up, becoming close with over the course of those months, they were like, oh, yeah, no, because we don't like Pitt. It's a big rival. I was like, I'm aware that Pitt is the big rival, the backyard brawl. Yes, I'm a college football person. Hi, yes, me. Hello, nice to meet you. So I was doing all that stuff, whatever. And they were like, oh, no, yeah. I was like, but you guys haven't played in a decade. And they go, yeah, no, we hate them still. I was like, I love Morgantown. I didn't like Morgantown as much as the time went forward, but I did enjoy my time there and I enjoyed the people. And so therefore, I want to go back to witness a backyard brawl game one day. Got to root for West Virginia in that one. I can't do that, Tyler. I can't do that.
Dang it. Well, I already made my pick, so too late. So moving forward,
Moving forward, 2 point. It's time, Tyler. Again, like we said, this is not the deepest of weeks, but I do think
It's
there are
bad.
some fun
It's
games.
bad. It's
Okay,
bad.
fine.
It's
All right.
it's
Hey,
not a
listen,
great slate.
there is
It's not a
no
great slate.
there is no bad college football Saturday, Tyler.
Yeah.
That is a
Yeah.
philosophical thing that we believe.
That's
all right?
true. That's true.
I can't say it's bad because there is no such thing. All
It's
right?
on the low end, though.
I will
of the
take
spectrum.
this Saturday, then a random Saturday in April that doesn't have it. All right.
Damn
Let
right.
me
You
thank you
damn
very
right.
much. With that being said, there are some interesting games on here. Friday night, we have Virginia and Maryland at 7 o'clock Eastern on FS1. You also have Army UTSA at 7 on ESPN. That's going to be an interesting one. FSU's playing Boston College at noon ABC. The aforementioned Penn State is heading to Illinois to take on the Illini at noon Eastern. That is the big noon Fox kickoff game of the week. Louisville is taking on Indiana. Iowa State is taking on Ohio. He is scrambling here. Alabama's taking on USF, and it's in Tampa. It's like at Raymond James. Alabama I think it did a 2-for-1, but because
those
USF
were popular for a little while. Those were
and because USF plays in an NFL stadium, I think Bama was like, "Oh yeah, we'll go to your home stadium, but it's an NFL stadium, so they can pack it with alumni." So that makes sense. San Diego State's taking on our Beavers at 3:30 Eastern on FS1. There's a whole bunch of games going on, and the last one here is Colorado State taking on Colorado, 10 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. Of all those, but Tyler, those are not the games I'm going with. The one I'm going with is the first one I mentioned. I'm going to take on Maryland to beat Virginia at home, 7 o'clock Eastern kick on FS1. That is my 2-point pick of the week.
okay.
Tyler,
I
which
don't
of these
hate it.
games do you want to pick as your
You
2 point?
made a crucial mistake, good sir.
Did I?
There's
What
a
was my
game
mistake?
that you missed that I almost jumped for joy that you missed.
Oh,
And
really?
it's so funny that you missed it because it's a game you'd be interested in.
Which one?
The Kansas State Wildcats are going to take
Oh,
one more step into
Yes.
the eventual not great season that Missouri is having. I'm trying to say, I don't want to say that they're going to get him fired, but
Well, it's just nice to see Kansas State donate to the Eli Drinkwitz buyout fund.
pension
That's what
fund.
you're
Yeah.
saying. Yes.
Kansas State is going to be facing Missouri, and they are going to win.
That game is on noon Eastern on the SEC network.
Other honorable mentions that I was going for was TCU over Houston, as well as James Madison over Troy.
Oh, JMU over Troy. That should have been last year's Sun Belt Conference Championship game, but because of politics and the NCAA, shout out Mac Brown,
Kangaroo Court,
that didn't happen, and so that's fun. Wow, that's a good one. Troy's supposed to have a really good defense, so I'm very curious to see how that goes. What time and network is that game on?
It is on NFL Network.
Oh boy, okay.
At 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific.
I see it here. 4 p.m.
Shows
Pacific.
it's 4 p.m. Pacific on my laptop.
It says 7 o'clock on mine, so that makes sense. NFL Network. Okay, good to know. Good to know. All righty. Before we sign off, Tyler, let's do a quick Florida corner. Last week, the Gators defeated McNeese State 49-7. Listen, we sent one text Saturday night about this game, and it was you texting me saying it's just so nice to see the Gators take care of business when they need to. And I completely agree. They played well, they got their stuff in order, and they really used this game as an opportunity to get ready for the very difficult schedule that begins this Saturday.
Yeah. My only takes on this game were on the negative side. Passing offense didn't do too much in this game. They didn't have to, so that's good because there was no run game in the Utah game. It was nice to see the run game up here and dominate in this game. I will say, I saw a breakdown of this that part of the reason the passing game didn't do much, they tried to take some deep shots, but most of them just weren't there. That is a thing with Billy Napier that's going to keep coming up, is that he does not. It's just it's weird when you come off at least when you come off your coach being Dan Mullen, and the one thing that you have is really well designed offense for the most part, some creative play calling, and it comes to Billy Napier's offense works for the most part, but it is relatively bland in comparison. And so it's McNeese State was playing to not get beat over the top. But even you'd like to see that even when that happens, your athletes and your players would be able to make that still work. And to be fair, Ricky Pearsall had a great, beautiful deep touchdown, and Graham Mertz played well in my opinion. the biggest thing that I take away is that, like, I don't know how good McNeese State is really supposed to be, but that 7 points is because a like freshman walk-on running back fumbled the ball in their own like 10-yard line, like in the last fourth quarter of the game to lose the shutout. The Gators defense looked good, and it is trending in a very positive development for like that's going to be a big key for this upcoming game. That's all I have to say about McNeese State to carry over into this game on this Saturday.
And I think that that's a great transition because this Saturday, the Tennessee Volunteers, they're ranked number 11 in the country. They come to Gainesville to take on the Gators, 7 o'clock Eastern kick on ESPN. Like we said, this is the primetime game. I think this is the slot that they're going to start giving the SEC games to. I mean, in my opinion, Florida has a chance to pull off the upset based on what I've seen from Tennessee this season in the first 2 games. Definitely the offense is still powerful.
Yes.
Some of what I saw in the Utah game in terms of the secondary is a bit concerning to me for this upcoming game. But I have faith, and I think that this is where the gimmicky Tennessee offense may come back to bite them. They play so fast, and Billy Napier wants to hold the football for so long that they may not have opportunities to score right away and immediately.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that is the design for the Gators if they want to win this game. That is what has to happen. That is the blueprint, in my opinion. What do you think?
The defense. So Florida's problem in the Utah game was I honestly don't even think it was defense. They did get beat on one gotcha play. They lost a couple, but one of those touchdowns came off a fumble that or like a tipped interception. I think it was actually that happened in the Gators' own part of the field, giving them a short field. In the second half, Gator defense really locked down on Utah. Their problem in that game is the offense couldn't get anything going against the Utah defense. In McNeese State, defense looked really good. Now this is going to be the best passing attack they faced by far. But I think Joe Milton is solid college quarterback, but didn't magically, in my opinion, over the last 2 games, did not magically learn touch and accuracy that were things that he never really had. He's got a big arm, and in the Tennessee offense, when you can hit those, that is a priority to me. Hendon Hooker had a really good blend of a strong enough arm, but just enough touch and accuracy, knowledge of the system, mastery of it. He had played a lot. He had a lot of experience. Joe Milton, not as much experience. He's got a big arm, so he can hit that deep shots, but they've lost a lot of really good receivers as well. The Austin Peay game they should have won that game by more points, in my opinion. They only won the game by 17. So this is a big test for Florida. Defensively, I've really liked what I've seen out of Austin Armstrong's defense. And the other thing too is that Tennessee, I don't know what to think of Tennessee's defense because they haven't really played anyone that gives me too much concern offensively, and they've played well. And that's the same thing. It's like Florida. We don't know for Utah yet, but has Florida played anyone that's really of any concern offensively? We don't know that either. Right. Again, early part of the season, I think Florida has a real chance. Tennessee also hasn't won in the Swamp in a very long time. So you've got that going. And it's one of the things I usually would prefer this game, RIP it, but I would prefer this game to be the 3:30 slot for nostalgia. But a night game under the lights in the Swamp could be good for Florida.
Yes.
Because even though they were 0-1, the student section showed up.
They did.
To the opening of that game. There's energy on that campus. There's energy for that team. Really, the offense is going to have to be able. You're not going to be able to hold Tennessee down completely. I'm sorry, you just can't. You're not going to. But you might be able to hold down a little bit if the defense can win those matchups, and if Florida can get the running game established, because you don't need Graham Mertz to throw for 300 yards. It's great. It's great to learn that he can, because I didn't think that was going to be a thing that was even like I thought that was going to be this was going to be a Felipe Franks Jim McElwain era where it's just I don't even know if we can throw for more than 200 yards. I don't know,
but I've been impressed with what I've seen out of Graham Mertz, and I think that we're capable.
The starting experience and the leadership that he has is a factor that I don't think we anticipated mattering as much as it has.
Yeah, I wish he didn't wear number 15, but other than that, I think he's doing pretty well.
You only get to be a graduate transfer to Florida once, so
that's very true.
I suppose. But. Well, I think isn't 5 already taken on offense? I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not sure. Regardless, point being, I'm with you. I think that there are ways and the way that the defense has been playing, and it's going to be a test. And this, to me, I'm walking into it. I think the Gators are prepared enough that they can pull off the upset. I also think that with our opinion that the Tennessee this year is going to kind of regress a little bit because of Josh Heupel and second, third year of Josh Heupel kind of stuff. And so this might be a game that Tennessee drops on the road. I mean, listen, I'm going to gun to head. I'm going to pick Tennessee, but I definitely don't think that this is out of the question. And I'm very anxious, happy, curious, concerned, all these emotions, because I think there is a legit chance. And I just hope that it happens, because I don't want to. Losing sucks, and
it does, and losing
it sucks. Exactly, and it sucks everything in the life out of things. And I think if Napier can get this win against Tennessee, it'll do him so much good in terms of the eyes of the internet fan base and fans as a whole. And I think it'll be able to kind of buy him some more time in terms of fan anxiety of where the direction of the program, because you and I think and believe that he really is the answer to fix things up. He just needs the time to do so. I'm hopeful that this is a game that the Day-Days of the world can at least go, okay, do it again. But that's fine, because
that's fine.
They're
that's
not
where
at
you're
that
at.
point
Like,
right now. They need to get to that point.
Florida's
and that's
lost
a step
4
forward.
straight. Like, what do you like?
Yeah, I get it.
And that shouldn't happen. And
Yeah.
it's but seriously, if I too think that like, if I had to put money on it, which I'm not a gambler, allegedly, if I had to put money on, I would probably put money on Tennessee.
Yeah.
But I really think the Gators have a real shot here, because, but again, Tennessee beat Virginia and Austin Peay. They didn't look as good as I think people expected them to look both times. But they held both those teams to 13 points. Virginia doesn't look very good.
No,
and
they don't.
Austin Peay is a much lower level team. If you're looking at the team stats so far averaged out over the 2 games, Florida and Tennessee have comparable yardage. Tennessee's more balanced offensively. They actually average more rushing yards than passing yards per game right now. Florida is averaging about 280 passing yards and 170 on the ground. Really great, considering they had very little on the ground in the first game.
Exactly. Made up for it in that.
But as far as defensively, yards allowed, Florida's averaging less than 200 yards allowed.
Good.
Might be overthrown by the last game that we just saw. And again, 2 game sample size, not great. It's making prognostications, but
listen, I'm not one to overhype over 1 or 2 game sample sizes. I'm just saying that the Dolphins are winning the Super Bowl. So that's just where we're at.
On that note,
on that note, listen, really quickly, we got to get out of here. It's a long episode. I just want to say, y'all can start. You can send me your Tua apologies. I am open for business. No, I know you don't, Tyler. I mean the collective you. I mean people who doubted Tua Tagovailoa. That man was balling on Sunday. Tyreek Hill looks like the best wide receiver in the league. And all of that is coming a week before there may be some movement in the Florida legal sports betting scene. Stay tuned on that. I don't want to say too much now because nothing's been confirmed. But yeah, it's just a good time to be a Miami Dolphins fan, a Florida sports fan. We had a really good week. All the Florida teams did.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, Jacksonville played their C game and won by 10 points. So
you were mad about it.
I was upset.
Just give them an inch, they'll take a mile. Am I right?
And I thought about it. I texted you and I thought about it. I was like, why am I upset?
I think I responded like if
you said 14-year-old you could hear you say this now, you'd slap yourself.
Yeah, I would slap yourself.
And it's like my old roommates from college, we were all from Jacksonville. They were all getting like, oh, we look so bad, and I'm just like 1-0.
Exactly, 1-0. Well, I hope the Gators end up 1-0 in conference play after this Saturday.
Yeah.
Let's hope for that, and let's hope for another good college football Saturday, because like we said, a Saturday with college football is never a bad Saturday. It's just that the slate is not as hyped up as this week.
Yeah,
but don't
not
worry.
Every Saturday, not every Saturday is, as good as it always can be.
Not every Saturday is as good as it always can be.
You gotta be allowed. Some college football weeks are just a little calmer, and that's okay. We still love you, college football.
Yeah,
you can't
it's
be on
fine.
your best all the time. You're still the best sport.
And look at what we got next week, Tyler. UCLA, Utah, Oregon State,
Ooh.
Washington State,
Oh,
Oklahoma,
baby.
Cincinnati,
Talk to
FSU,
me.
Clemson,
Oh,
Ole
that's
Miss,
early for
Alabama.
FSU Clemson.
I know, right? Ole Miss, Alabama, Colorado, Oregon. Come on now, we're having a good time.
It's crazy to me
Ohio
that-
State, Notre Dame.
Oh, that's good. It's crazy to me that what's funny. Ohio State looks good, but Notre Dame, we haven't talked about it much. Sam Hartman looks good at Notre Dame.
He does look good.
Well,
We'll get a chance
to
next
talk
week
about this, but
I know we'll get a
and
chance
one
next
last
week to talk about it, though.
One last thing, I can't believe on that entire slate, to me, the most interesting game,
Colorado, Oregon.
How the turntables, as Michael Scott would say. Listen, I will take that as your final thoughts before we sign off. And with that being said, this has been another episode of Sideline Judgment. My name is Sergio.
My name is Tyler.
We are not biased, Tyler, but go Gators.
Go Gators beat Tennessee.
Wear blue.